if you were the person that was the reason for the breakup, and you usually know if this is the case, if your person was really asking for what it is they needed over and over again, giving you a lot of chances, and you just weren't coming up for them, and now you find yourself in a breakup, this message is for you. And it's also for the person who did the breaking up in the case that they felt like they had to. They felt like they had no choice. They had to do the breaking up because the person on the other end was not meeting their needs at a lot of different levels. This is a video that is for that group of people. And what I want to say is a breakup is a reset. A breakup many times has to happen. Something was going dreadfully wrong. It wasn't being fixed. It wasn't being repaired. It wasn't getting put back on track. It wasn't stretching and growing and getting to the next level. It became stagnant. And then that had to come to an end because that relationship can't be put back together again. A new relationship has to be born in its place. And so if you had this kind of a breakup, and again, I'm speaking to the people specifically who were the ones who weren't coming up for their person and doing all the things that they needed to do, but now you're having a breakup and you realize this was serious business. Many times when we're in the relationship and someone is asking us for what it is they need, we're hearing them, we're listening, but we're not really making any changes because we don't feel like it's critical. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in a breakup because it was at a critical moment and you didn't realize it. You really didn't think that it was going to cause a breakup. And I know the other person is going to say, how could they not realize it? I was asking over and over and over again. But I think a lot of us don't recognize, like, oh my gosh, like this is going to end us. And then once it does, this is where a lot of changes can and do take place if the person is willing to pay attention to it. So there is hope for anybody going through a breakup where they weren't doing the work at the time of the relationship. So now you're in a breakup. You're going to probably try to get back together immediately. You're going to make all the promises. You're going to write them page after page of letters, how much you love them and how much now you finally hear them, and you're going to give it your best shot. It's going to come across as empty for the other person at the beginning because they've been asking for a long time. So by the time they get to the breakup, they've kind of checked out for the moment. And we can always just stay in this moment. So try not to overwhelm yourself. Try to stay in the moment. The person has checked out because a person feels like it's never going to happen. They lost faith in the couple. They lost faith in you. And they feel as though they have to go in another direction. So they're mentally prepared to start a new life in the other direction. And don't get too scared because this is going to happen for a period of time. They are going to try to put together a life. They're going to try to break away from you. They're going to try to see if there's something on the other side that is going to provide them with all the things that they need to go a lifetime with someone. So at the beginning, you're probably going to have like this like real emotional breakdown, for lack of a better word, because you're losing your person. So you're really going to be, whether you're crying and begging or trying so hard or just really wrapped up in trying to put it back together again, no matter what you do in this stage of the breakup, you're not going to ruin your chances of getting back together. So if you begged and pleaded and cried and tried so hard and contacted their friends and family and told them all the things that were going to change, but they weren't listening to you, don't feel as though, oh my gosh, I blew it now. Don't let ego play any role in a breakup. People lose it at breakup. It's messy and it is emotional and it is more than we've ever been through most of the time. So don't think that you've done so much damage now that it's never going to be the same. As soon as you create a little bit of distance and a little bit of time, the reset can start to take place. So really recognize that even if after the breakup you lost it and your train went off the tracks, that's okay. That train's going to get back on the track and you're going to have a chance probably for better conversation a little further down the road. But what has to happen in the time apart? You cannot just go back and say, I love you, I miss you, things are going to be different, and take my word for it. Because that ship has sailed. You have no clout right now when it comes to your word probably doesn't mean very much because they've been asking and they haven't had you step up. So now you really do have to take this time apart. You have to figure out what the problems were specifically. I mean, you have to go down to whatever it is they were asking for, whatever details you have, and think about how did I operate at that moment and how should I have operated operated in that moment. And these things are within your skill set. So most of the time you can absolutely step up and do better. You may not be great right away when it comes to certain problems, certain skills that we don't have. There has to be a little more work put in. But if we are aware of it and we start to really do the work on how do we change that behavior, whatever that may be, whether you have to get a self-help book with it, whether you get therapy, whether you listen to podcasts, whether it is you take their feedback and start taking it in, start really making a list of all the things that you know were the problem, how you operate and how you should operate if ever given the chance again. Because if we want to get someone back on board with a relationship, they have to believe in some substance. You can't just go there with ideals and dreams and hopes and whatnot. You have to go back and say, here's the plan. Here's the blueprint. Here's what we're going to do. Because then a person's going to say, wow, they put in some thought. They actually know what has to be done. They've already heard how much you love them and how much you miss them and all of that. Now they want to hear, hey, this is where I really fell off and this is where I can do so much better. Anytime someone is putting in that effort, it's going to mean something to the person on the other side. So the first few months, it's probably not going to be the time to give your grand plan. If you already did, fine, because you planted the seed. It's important to plant a seed too. It's important if you said all the things you wanted to say, it's great because they have to think about it for a little bit of time. But let a little time pass because that is the most important thing. If we get back together right away, there usually isn't any change happening. There's not. Patterns are really hard to break. So trust in the process. They're going to go out. They're going to try to build a brand new life. And I know how scary that's going to be for you. I know how scared you're going to be, but I'm telling you, nothing that happens while you're separated is going to make a difference if this is your person. And I mean that. Trust in the process. Trust that if two people are meant to be together, they will be together. So have a little faith in that. Try to calm your fears a little bit. Give it a little bit of distance. Check in every so often. If they say it's okay and you just check in every so often, of course, if you want to work with me, I'll give you a detailed plan because, I can't just speak for everybody because there are too many nuances here. But my opinion is in some months' time, usually 3 to 6 months, is a good time where people really start to miss the other person. They start to feel that loss. Everything changes. So the reset doesn't take too long to happen on the other side. It's not going to take years. Some can take years, but we're going to hope for usually changes happen a little bit earlier. And if we can get communication going, we can find out about what changes are going on. But in the meantime, your job is to respect what they're asking of you, give them the space that they need, understand that this breakup absolutely had to happen. Now get to doing the real work. What does the work look like? It looks like, where were we going wrong? What was happening? Why was that happening? This breakup is going to crack you wide open to understand why you were holding back, why you weren't communicating, why you weren't engaged, why you weren't moving ahead quicker in the relationship. And I don't mean engaged like getting a ring on their finger and moving ahead quicker. I mean engaged with the person, growing those roots deeper, getting stronger, making the progress in the relationship, hitting milestones, moving it forward. Were you getting stagnant? You have to figure out exactly why you were doing what you were doing because there's no other way to change that until you do figure that out. Once you start figuring that out, you're going to keep those notes. Because eventually you're going to try to reconnect with that person very lightly, very gently. Just to check in every so often. How you doing? Just wanted to say hi. Hope your parents are doing well. Hope your summer's going great. Whatever. You think of your excuse why you're going to reach out. I can help with that too. But once you start to re-engage when they are ready for it, because they're, like I said, at the beginning they may not be ready because they have had it. And they feel as though they made the right decision. Even though it's breaking their heart. And I'm telling you it's breaking their heart. Because they gave you the chances because they wanted it to be you. You were the choice. They wanted it to be you. They chose you. They tried to work on it. They tried to talk about the things going wrong. So they wanted you. You were the chosen one when it comes to that. So this person loves you and loved you and has all of those feelings. So they're heartbroken even though they had to be the ones to do the breaking up. They had to break the pattern. They had to stop the cycle. Good. Somebody had to. Because you have to come back better. You have to come back better. So After this person goes in the other direction, tries to create a new life, they're missing everything about the relationship. They're missing all the good things. They're not missing the bad things, but they're certainly missing the good things. And the good things rise to the top quicker than the bad. So the bad, the messiness, that usually happens at the beginning. That starts to fade, and now you have the better memories starting to come back, especially if you create a little bit of distance. Now, you don't want to do too much distance. You don't want to be in this place of getting into your ego, like I'm going to go no contact and show them what they're missing. Please don't play games. Don't manipulate. Don't play games. You're taking time apart because that's what's necessary for the couple. You can check in every so often and see if you can start communicating. Because once you can start communicating at a healthier level, and that's usually a few months out, then you can start to talk about, this is how I handled this, and I shouldn't have. I should have done this. And this is what I'm recognizing. And listen to them too, because they are discovering a lot about what got the two of you stuck. They're discovering what patterns you were in. Listen to what they have to say to the feedback. You're going to come back as two different people if there's growth happening. Personal growth can happen if you allow it. If you allow it and you're ready and you're brave and you're there. So the road back is absolutely possible, no matter what's going on the other side. Don't worry too much about what's going to happen while we're apart. Am I going to be able to get through that if we start putting it back together again? Take one single day at a time, but know that you need, after that breakup, a little bit of time, a settling period, a reset, and then you need a plan. You need a plan, pen to paper. No, just, I miss you and I love you. Great. Start there, of course, but also what was happening? What was happening? Dig deep, because this is your moment. This is really your moment. You could be so much better together. And I know you want to be. So try to put fear aside. Try to understand where this person was coming from when they did that breaking up. And try to figure out what the couple needs to do to put it on track. After a few months' time, you're going to know whether or not this was a person that you could do better with. You'll know whether that relationship couldn't go any further or if it absolutely can go further. So I'm with you every step of the way. I am so in your corner. And if you need me, I'm here. But that's what it looks like when you have the breakup. If you were the person that caused the breakup for whatever your reasons were. And I'm sure there were a million reasons. Look, we're all just human going through life for the very first time. And we're just built certain ways with our experiences, what we've been through, our lives. No one knows what people go through and how they get through some of those things. But we're all damaged in some sort of a way. We're all hurt. We're all trying our best most of the time. And you can figure it out. And you can always do better. 1,000%. So I'm here for it. I'm here for it.